What's up, everybody? How we doing for another edition of Josh Says Mean Things? Yeah, it's been a minute. Sorry for y'all. Last one we did, I guess, was January, so we missed a month or two here or there. But we're back and we're better than ever. That's right, we're better than ever. Episode 37. It's hard to believe that it's been 37. I know I say that pretty much every time, but it's been like years now. How many eclipse photos today, Chris? Actually, zero eclipse photos except for the one right there. But no, we've been doing this, I think, for like almost 4 years now, 3, 4 years. And it's so fun. I really got a kick out of editing everybody's photos today. Um, I'll preface this by saying I went a little crazy with generative fill. I'm just going to throw that out there now. Some of you have texted and said, "Hey, I went a little overboard with your photos, generative fill. I had fun. It was fun. I need to learn as well. It's more fun for me to edit your own photos instead of my photos. I don't have as much ego involved, so I can just go and play." And so I did. I went and played. I might have taken it a little far, so I'm apologizing now if your photo is one that I took it a little too far. But there's versions. We have layers. We have different layers. We have different things. So yeah, I'm excited to show these all to you all. We have about, I don't know, 11 or 12 photos to go through. Thanks for everybody for submitting. Yeah, we have a wide range. We have music, we have cars, we have portraits, we have landscapes, we have a little bit of everything. There really wasn't an overarching theme, and no eclipse photos, which I'm kind of surprised by. So yeah, let's get started. Let's flip over. Let's see. All right, that's not working anyway. That's fine. Let's just go straight to Lightroom Full. Now you don't have to look at me anymore. So yeah, this one is from John. And I am always impressed by Nikon's ability to control this blue color up in this upper right. My Canons, when they see this neon blue, just lose their minds. So I knew right away that it was not shot with a Canon because there's no way it would have held that blue. I don't know why. It's just the way the sensor works. So yeah, this is a really cool band. I'm guessing sometime by South by. We got a whole lot of people, a whole lot of actions going on. Am I on the right? Yeah. Yeah, really cool. It's crazy. This is shot at 1600 and it's probably pushed a stop, I'm guessing, in post. But I love it, right? Kind of the back of the room. I like the, shot at 1.8. So the singer playing this bass guitar is in the front. She's nice and focused. And then, but we feel like we're part of the crowd, right? Because we have this depth at the bottom, right? We can see a little bit of this depth right here. And only one cell phone recording the show, which is nice. Oh, I guess two right there. But they're so blurred out, it doesn't really show it too bad. But there's just really cool. I love this light up here. I love this green and blue and this layered lighting. I think that really adds to what's going on. So it's a really cool photo. Photos like this are so hard. The colors are so extreme generally. That blue is very blue. That green is very green. And then you have like a yellow projection wall, right? This area back here, this projection wall, right? We know it's projection because the drummer that you didn't even see until just now, he's getting washed out in light. So there's a lot of colors going on here. So I think it's really well controlled. I'm guessing this is shot with the new Z8. The noise is handled really, really well. So yeah, it's really clean. Just nice, cool back of the room shot. Yeah, it's good. Don't really have anything to say about. Oh, the only thing that bothers me is this projector up here. We're gonna zoom in. Oh, control zoom. That's the only part that bothers me right there. I think it just kind of takes away because it's. And the only reason it bothers me is because it's directly over her head, and so it's actually in focus as well. So our eyes go to what's bright and what's in focus, and because that projector is white and in focus, I would either crop down or clone stamp it out. That's the only thing that really kind of catches my eye and kind of pulls my eye away from the band. So that's my only kind of nitpick, but really good control. A lot of the things I'm going to show you, John also sent me a raw, and I went not too crazy with this one, but again, just as a reminder, these are just things you can do to the photos. They're not, it's not a better, it's not a worse. It's only another way you could take a photo. So let's just keep that in mind. It's just showing you some things you could do to the photo. And so for me, I pushed, well, first of all, this camera profile is probably the biggest difference. When I'm shooting Canon with this type of lighting, I usually go to like camera neutral or camera faithful, and that gives me a little bit more subdued. It helps me to control those extreme blues or extreme reds. It's just a flatter profile. It's not so contrasty, so I don't lose any color channels. So that's probably the first thing to notice here is I went to camera neutral just to try to keep it all those neons kind of in check. So some other things, vibrance up, but look at the tint. I pulled out the red quite a bit. I think John did some work on bringing these guys over here up, and I kind of just let them fade away and kind of kept the attention on the singer and this guy in the pink cowboy hat. I could have brought them up, but I just wanted to go a different direction and just kind of keep that. I also did crop out just that little projector as close as I could, just as a fast way to get rid of that distracting element. But I think it also brings, by cropping just a little bit, it brings our attention back to the singer just a little bit more. Also, I've been playing with tone curves quite a bit lately, and this one is no exception. On output, I don't have this go all the way output, so it's a way of keeping any brights from getting too bad. There's still a couple I could probably come down with, but I'm just trying to keep everything in a register that can be, if I wanted to make a print, that I could. So kind of this S curve, but both the black and the white I am manually clipping so that everything stays inside that range. And so if we notice in our histogram up here, we're not all the way to black, so there's actually detail in these shadows. It's just very minute. The other thing I did, let me show you kind of the raw from where we were. So the raw's on the left, the edit's on the right. The raw was, it's just the light that's in the room. It's very red. It's very orange. So I was trying to bring some of that out and go away from that. So not only did I do color mixer by bringing up the skin tones, which are reds and oranges, I brought down a lot of this yellow, this blue, this green, right? So we can see that reflected here. The green, the aqua, the blue all down, reds and orange up. So my reds and oranges are brighter. Everything else is a little bit darker. Then I went to color grading, added shadows to the pink and brightened up my shadows, added kind of yellow green to my highlights and brightened up my highlights. Midtones kind of got this teal, these lights back here, kind of that teal color. And I darkened my midtones. And so if I take this off, you can just kind of see it just gives a little bit of a different vibe. So I kind of go back and forth to it. Just something to look at. I'll click and hold for just a little bit longer. Let me go full screen. So without color grading, it looks like this. With color grading, it looks like that. Just to kind of give it more of a filmic look. Without the color mixer, so if I press and hold that, it's not a huge difference, but we can see the face becomes more prevalent, more bright. And then by darkening the blue, see this shirt right here. Watch that shirt kind of get more controlled. So again, just some easy stuff there. But as far as composition goes, there's not much I would change. I did do some, of course, I put a brightness right through the middle there just to brighten up the center. So your eye goes to the center. And then from the top, I added some clarity and brought down the highlights just to kind of bring in these spot beams from overhead. I just want to bring those in a little bit more. So yeah. Anyway, cool photo, great moment. I would have loved it. I wish this one had an audio, like an MP3 file attached to it, so I could be jamming out to the music while I was editing, because that would probably be fun. So John, next time, send me a playlist as well. All right. All right, this photo is going to look a little pixelated. We were having problems getting the right thing done. This is from William, um, and yeah, from a car show. Car shows are hard. Let me just go over to the raw. This is what I did already to it. Or no, I didn't do anything to this one. Did I? History. Oh, maybe I did. Nope, no history. So this is some stuff going on here. Um, but this is the raw file, just a car show. Good angle. He and I've kind of already talked about this photo a little bit. Looking back at this license plate, TD21. I wonder if it stands for Tim Duncan 21. Now I'm curious about that, so I'll have to go back and ask. But I think I pulled down the sky a little bit here, added some gradient on the asphalt. But I really love the angle. This camera is probably all the way. Hello, light wand. This camera's probably all the way on the ground to make that that car look really mean and aggressive, which is kind of what we want, right? We want that nice low angle. I like that we're not straight on. We're kind of at this 45-degree angle to the car, right? Kind of that area in between. For cars, this angle, we want that camera kind of right between this front wheel and this front bumper. So this area right, I'll draw it right there, right here is kind of where we want that camera to be. And that's pretty close to where we are. So it kind of really shows off this scoop, right? It shows off some of the curves and hips of the car. So the angle, it's also shot at 70 mil, which he told me was the longest. He had just a split second to take this one. And that's the longest focal length that he could get to, which I think is also a good choice. In a car show, it's so hard. There's so many distracting elements. There's so much going on. Backing up as much as you can and shooting as long of a focal length as you can, I think are really good things to do. And so I think those were all pretty good choices. I'm pretty sure this has some of my edits in it, though. I'm not sure why it's showing me as a TIFF, but I selected the sky and just brought that down in blue. And I added clarity to the road here just to make it look grittier. And then I have a brush that I use called Wheel. I'll hover on this for a second. But it adds a little bit of exposure, 0.1. It bumps up the shadows 20, adds 20 to whites. And then what you can't see is it adds 10 to texture and adds 15 to clarity. And it just kind of pops out. I'll brush with it real quick, but it just kind of pops out things like wheels, these grills, this type of like grill. It's just kind of a subtle like way to add texture and goodness to anything that needs just that little bit of brightening, that little bit of sharpening. And so if I, here, we'll click on and click off. You can kind of see what it does to those wheels just as a way to kind of pop those off the body a little bit. In general, my focus is almost always on whatever wheel is closest to me. That's kind of my like default point to put my focal point is kind of right in this area, right on that front wheel. So if you're ever shooting cars, don't know where to focus, generally that front wheel is kind of the always, yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. So now I went crazy on this. I think we talked about that. So I took this into Photoshop. I selected the car and the road, and I deleted everything else with the layer mask. Yeah, thank you. And because these people, like the expression, I don't know, this guy's looking at the camera. There's just a lot going on that I didn't like. So I used a layer mask. And then on a new layer, I said, just give me a cool sunset that's kind of blue and orange. And so I used that as a background layer and then layer mask the car and the road on top of it. So let's see what Crazy Josh did. There we go. Yeah. The other thing I did in the neural filters on the car, I used the harmonize, and it brings in the color from a selected layer, and it kind of it adds those colors into the car as well, or whatever you select it. So there's just kind of a fun play thing. My layer mask wasn't perfect. But I think you get the idea of like what could be done. Um, yeah, I know it's something you would do. Not only is it something you would do, your next photo is something you probably did. Steven, I see you. I know what you do. Um, so yeah, it's just a way to like kind of make something out of nothing when you're at car shows. Like get the best data you can get, and then you know use our tools at our disposal, like Photoshop, and go crazy, right? But I like that the road is still in there. I tried some crazy generative fills with like Pacific Coast Highway and all these other things, but I can never quite get the angles to match up. Um, so I need to spend some more time in generative fill and like figuring all that out, because that's going to be somewhat of the future. So the more practice I can get now, the better. I didn't do a great job with this wheel back here. That's not great. Um, I don't think I did a great job with this hip. That's not super clean either. But just as like, and this windshield should be reflecting the sky, so I should have like put that in over. I just didn't have that much time. But just as something you could do. Um, the other thing that we can see here, I added more exposure to that front element there, and then I even more so with a negative gradient, right? Negative gradient, and that's just all clarity, right? It's just adding clarity, vibrance, all of that. Just getting that road to really look gritty and right, because then that looks very textury, and then the car looks smoother in response. So, just some kind of fun to do. Yeah, yeah, some fun. Okay, now I'm going to show you a trick I've never showed you before on this next photo. All right, this next photo, it's such a weird concept, Chris. Every time I look at this, I laugh. Sexy Gandalf. Like, it's such a weird concept. Um, I don't know. It makes me giggle every time I see it. Um, so, yeah, let's see. Do we see the raw? Okay. Um, so this is what Chris sent me. Um, it's good. There's a lot going on here. I think the pose is good. I think her toe up on the knee, back to the hip. That's good. We kind of have this S curve going on, so that's good. Really cool, like drape and grays and blacks. There's a lot of different ways you could go with this. As far as like the background, it's just like a gray background. Um, so it's it's there. There's a lot of grays. The things that kind of my eye first goes to, this hand right here is like really bright. Look at how bright the hand is versus the face. Um, and so that's something that I would take down and like brush in some negative highlights to the hands, or well, probably and in conjunction, add some exposure into the face here, right? Because she's got this really good, blue eyes or kind of gray eyes, and so I think that would be a good fill to add some more light into this circle here, and then tone down some of the hands, and then tone down some of the hair, the wig right there, because it's catching so much of that edge light. So just to bring down some of this as well. And so maybe some dodging and burning on the hat just to add some character to it. And then maybe tone down the highlights on this upper staff, just to bring that down so it's not so bright. If we quickly add just a little bit of radial here, right? And then same thing, radial kind of along this right there, and bring that down. Right. So now your eyes are more likely to go to the face and less likely to go to the hand. So just something to look for. Now, here's something I noticed. Chris, you're kind of tall, like me, and the camera is positioned about the height of her eyes. Right, the camera's probably actually like this high in the photo, right? Kind of hairline, eyeline, and it's shot at 28. So we're getting some foreshortening in the legs. And so something that I did, I'm going to go ahead and flip to mine, the edit that we did. Let me show you what we did here. We actually went to the transform tool, and added some vertical rotation to it. So this is the original. So watch what happens as I bring that up. Let me do it slower. We can kind of make her legs look longer. um, as a way to um, kind of make her geometry a little bit more flattering to her. This is by doing this, it's making the legs look even longer. Let me flip back to the original. You kind of see it here. See how it's kind of tilted down, and so we're bringing that tilt back, and we're kind of evening it out. So something to think about. And then it was a little bit left to right, and so I just changed the horizontal as well. So the original is there, and so I just kind of brought that horizontal as well, just kind of changing the plane of it, just to give something. So here's the raw. Kind of see the raw back here, and then really I just blacked out the raw as best I could. I really wanted to put like a negative gradient behind her, but instead I went crazy with generative fill again. And then also in Photoshop, this little line right there, I took care of that as well. It's just a little bit distracting. But you can also see some of the things we did. Select subject, and that's the background. So you can kind of see this background area. I darkened that, then inverted it and warmed her up a little bit, brightened her up a little bit, just as something to do there. And then, right, we brightened the face, and then I darkened, I took down the highlights kind of all around her face just to make that face pop out a little bit more. So you can kind of see the before and after there. Yeah. But again, just kind of something, changing that transform geometry, I think is something that can really be done. The select subject tools are getting really good, so it's really easy to take this background, turn it to black or whatever color you want, and that's getting kind of fun, right? So just something we can do there. This photo's so weird. So I took it into Photoshop. I had a clean subject to pull, and so I went crazy. Chris, you ready? Here we go. Let's go to generative fill. All right. I thought, you know what? Let's just go all the way. Yep, Hobbit scene in the background. So the cue was something like high fantasy elven village, lit by the full moon with a stone path in the center of the frame. Yeah. And then in Lightroom, I went to the lens blur. You're going to see this again today too. And then I went to the lens blur, and let me show you the difference there. So that was what Photoshop gave me. But that was too much data, right? The moon and everything, that was just too much. So I added lens blur, and to make it feel like it was shot with like a cartoon filter on her. Well, that's why I added the bokeh, just to make it feel more like it was shot there. I've been playing with lens blur. It's a little much. I had to kind of change like where the focus was and kind of play with that a little bit. It's not perfect. This is just to give you an idea of like what could be done, right? But and then I tried to blend in that foot just a little bit more. So I darkened the bottom here. So this is all just negative highlights. And then from the moon side, this right to left, I cooled it down a whole bunch, and I darkened it on the right side. And on the left side, I did the opposite. So I warmed it up on the left side, and added some exposure from the left. And that just gives it a little bit. So not only do we have sharpness, not sharp, but then we have left to right, warm, cool. Just something to play with. Yeah, it's fun. You could have like cartoonized her something a little bit, but it's just something fun to play with. It's really it's hard to get the right prompts in generative fill. It probably took me 16 or so of images that I generated until I found one that kind of worked. But again, after this, I used the neural filter harmonize on her to pick up the colors from the generative layer, and it kind of adds those colors into the subject layer. So that's something I've been looking at in terms of neural filters that harmonize when you're blending can make it kind of nice to blend in there. I like how the moon here kind of makes it look like it's what's lighting up the staff and potentially the hair. I don't know. It was silly, but like I said, I went a little overboard with that. So anyway, it was fun. Just something I thought y'all might enjoy, going crazy, right? So there we go. Okay. And then Steven sends me these photos that he spent, what, 8 hours processing already? And he's like, okay, go ahead, make something new with it. So, first off, this is a great photo. If it was hanging in your house, you would enjoy looking at it. Let's just get that out of the way, right? If we look to our histogram, right, for a print, nothing's overexposed, nothing's underexposed. Everything's just right. Shot at f11. It's sharp from right. It's sharp from 2 feet in. Right. I can see water droplets there. That's sharp. This peak is sharp. I'm guessing this wasn't the sky. Yeah. Yeah. Camera position suffered. Yeah. Steven, tell me if this was the actual sky. Minus 55 degrees Fahrenheit. Yahtzee. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's so much. So much. All right, Burkich, tell me though, was this original sky or no? You didn't send me the raw, so I had to just guess on this. Anyway, beautiful print. I love how there's detail kind of through the center band of trees. It needs a Gandalf. That would be a frostbit Gandalf. That'd be Gandalf the Blue. But this peak, it kind of reminds me of like the Paramount Peak, right? Like opening scene of like a movie trailer. These nice soft skies behind, this light coming over the edge, hitting a third of the peak, right? That's really awesome. I don't know what I would have changed. I would have, if you get any lower to get in the snow, you lose the water, and so you lose that leading edge of the water rushing through. This is shot at 15th of a second, just to let you know, probably on a tripod. But I mean, there's just such good detail all the way around, right? It's pretty amazing. Looks really good. Ski run, right? Anybody gonna go ski that? So when I first see it, though, one of the things I think about water, as many times I've edited cars and water and different things, is that because we have this sky, this water should be reflecting. So the water can see the sky. And so to me, the water should be a little bit brighter to match the pink and brightness of the sky. And so I feel like we're kind of losing a little bit of the detail in the water and some of the rocks. But I feel like the water itself should be oranger, bluer, and kind of picking and reflecting those colors more than necessarily the snow wouldn't do that, but the water would. So that would be my only real critique. And then to make it feel cooler, I want that snow to feel colder. And then it was shot at f11, so I went the opposite way, and let's just kind of talk through what I did. So lens blur, yeah, you can see that lens blur as a way to kind of draw your eye up. I warmed up the sky even more. I cooled down the snow, and then I warmed up and brightened the water. So let's take a look at some of the masking that we have going on here. Just real crude, nothing too great, but I brought down the highlights even more on the sky, and I warmed it up 16. Okay, so all that did was just warm up the sky just a little bit more. That's all that did. Okay. And then for here, we did the opposite. So this is just a big kind of zone here. And I brightened up the snow just a little bit, and I cooled it down a little bit. So -7, just to give it more of a warm cool. But then kind of another radial over the water. Can you see that's the original? So once I cooled down that entire bottom part, I came back and warmed up the sky even more, added 50 units of warmth, because that should be reflecting this up here, and then brought it brighter a little bit, 4/10 of a stop, to brighten up this entire. And then I just threw on lens blur, because what would you do if you could shoot this at f2, right? I wouldn't recommend shooting this at f2. The vignetting alone would be awful. But again, these are just thought experiments, okay? It's just showing you what could be done. So again, we went to lens blur, if I can find it. Um, yeah, lens blur early access. So, right, that's the original, and then with lens blur added. You can change that depth of field. So I try to have that grid right there just be this mountain peak, um, just as something to do. Yeah, it wasn't the sky, but needs a Gandalf. Blue sky, no clouds. Generative fill sky. Okay, that's good to know. Um, so this is just, again, it's just a thing you can do. I think this is overdone. Let's be honest. This is overdone on my part. I would probably be a little bit more subtle, and come back with like 25 instead of 50, and I'd probably expand that just a little bit more. That's probably more normal. Um, but just as something that could be done. There wasn't a lot to do with this photo. It's just playing around. I don't think I color graded it. I did not. Okay. So yeah, it's just making that contrast even more. So even more warmth on the top, more blue on the bottom, and then add a little generative fill. But all the detail, all the sharpness, all the clarity, like that was so good. There was nothing I really needed to do there to change that. And I like that you're not lost in the trees through here. A lot of times, like especially on the direct shadow side, it's very easy to kind of lose your detail, right? If we this area right in there, that's very easy to lose the detail in something like that, right? But it's nice and controlled, right? We can look at our tone curve and everything's kind of right in that center. So really well done. Cool. All right. Ooh, I've been looking at these types of photos way too much the last couple months. Corporate events in terribly lit hotels and conference centers. Hooray. Look at this guy here. He is so happy to be there. He wants to be anywhere but where he is right now. So Kira sent me this in. I think she said she cross lit it with some speed lights, which is a good choice. Look at this blue right there on the side from that uplighting. Like that's really hard to control. You can see it here on the face there too. So a couple things with this. When I'm shooting events like this, like my immediate is just crop to get rid of that guy, because it really robs the power. I think he's actually talking to Shadow Hand over here, but it's really tough. And then these like spots coming up again. You can. This is I know it's a Canon. These uplights that are blue are just so hard to control. And so let's take a look at what we did. This is the straight raw file. So Kira's like, just do what you can with it. So cropped in, right? We can kind of see where that crop is to get rid of the guy that isn't there. But it also, now there's 3 heads, so we have rule of odds, which always makes things a little more interesting. But crop is always the most powerful tool. And if we look at the original, the shoes were kind of cut off through here anyway. So I didn't need to keep the feet in that were on the ground. So I just kind of cropped into that, give it a tighter crop. It's nice and in focus. I did a diopter. So I just grabbed off the white of that shirt, and then tweaked it a little bit. But when people are wearing white shirts, it's always easy to use your eyedropper to give you a nice starting spot, right, for your white balance. And then it was bring down the highlights to kind of control some of the brightness. Shadows come up, blacks go down. Tone curve, again, that top part, we're going to bring that down just a touch so we're not blowing out any of our tone curve. If we look at our histogram up top, we can see that all our data's in the frame and we're not blowing out and we're not blocking down our blacks. I don't really want to deal with vibrance too much because we're already at 1600 and I'm pushing a stop. So really I'm at like 2500 ISO. I haven't shot at f2 what you could get, right? I did do color mixer, right? So skin tones got brightened up. And then those blues, aquas, purples, magentas. So all this purple, blue, magenta, I want it down. By darkening the background and brightening our subject's skin color, they're going to pop off the screen that much more. I didn't do any split toning on this one. And then I just leave the vignetting in because I kind of like it. She sent me another one. Let's take a little bit. This is so common of like what's going on. You have this great moment, but you have somebody's like Starbucks there. Ugh. it's always a struggle to keep their drinks off. Um, no, that's pretty funny, Jim. No, I cannot generative. I probably could actually. I think there is a neural smart retouching where you can like change people's expression. You probably could do that, but he doesn't get to be in there. So, but this is probably a really exciting conversation. It's debt and equity outlook for investment. Like, ooh, man, that is just super exciting stuff going on. So this is, I'm guessing, shot with a 28 to 70 f2. Yep. It's really bad about like keeping lines. It gets kind of weird geometry. And so the first thing I did, let's just go over to what I edited. So a couple things. We're going to go back to that transform tool, lens correction. So I enabled, that's the wrong profile, whatever. But transform, I just went to auto just to see what it would give me. And it did a good job kind of keeping all these lines straight as best it could. I really was looking at this new mark. I want to keep that very vertical. So without it, kind of see that it kind of falls away. So it brings it back, kind of straightened it up. I did a little bit of just very quick and dirty spot healing on that coffee mug. But so much of this is about dodging and burning in a sense. All this other is the exact same as the last one. But what we did here, right, these people here are kind of the most important part. And so this is negative. Let me show that. So everything outside of the circle gets darker, right? So less important. This area of his pants was really bright. If I take it off, you can kind of see it was really bright. So that's just darkening down this area because, again, I want everything to go here, right? I want everything to go in the center. This carpet was pretty bright, so I just darkened the carpet with a radial. And then these skylights or whatever's going on up here, I just wanted to darken that down because I don't want your eyes to escape out that way. I probably could have gone with like a different crop as well, more of like a freeform crop. That could have also worked, and just bringing this down to like that, right? That could also work, but some clients get real weird if you send them not well cropped. I mean, if you change the aspect ratio up on them, they kind of get weird because some of their software is like very, very, it needs it to be 3x2. If you give them like a weird thing, they don't know what to do with it. So I probably wouldn't do this crop for a client delivery, but just something you could do to get rid of that area up here, right, where I don't want that. That's my dog. Hello, buddy. I just don't want this area up to the top. And I just pointed off camera. That's great, Josh. That's good TV. Using my fingers to point on my screen that you can't see. Clutch move. Only 37 episodes in. You think I learned by now. Okay. But yeah, these are tough, right? We did have to raise this brightness up even more. And it's just using a lot of radials to keep so much of it as like, what's the most important thing and what's the moment? And then really just make everything else in the frame work to support that. So the thing that you want people to see, make that the brightest and sharpest, and let everything else be blurry and darker. If you need like a quick, I could liquefy his smile. Yeah, I know. This guy, yeah, look at these two guys over here. He's not loving it either. And he's just hanging on. He's the moderator. He's just waiting for his next question. Yeah, they are. These panels like this, when it's like 6 people on a stage, oh, it's always like this. There's like 2 or 3 of them engaged, and then 2 are just trying to remember what they're supposed to talk about. They're never all that good. So, yeah. Or you're in the way, or there's teleprompters, or there's water bottles, or there's coffee cups, or she's wearing her red Louboutins. I don't know how to say it. I'm not that cultured. Yeah, look at his dress Nikes, dress Converse. Man, these guys are killing it. All right. So, as y'all should know, I think I've posted about this already, but we are having our next Round Rock Studio open house on Sunday, May 19th. If you know, you can get there at a different time. But for everybody else, it's open 4 to 6. But for those of you who know, it's not 4 to 6. And And if you have ideas of what you want to shoot, message me and we'll set it up. We'll get some models to do whatever. So I'm actively recruiting models now. So if you have ideas of what you want to shoot at the next open house at Round Rock Studios, let me know. I'm happy to accommodate. So this is my friend Lindsay. And this was shot by Steven. I actually remember to do his photo. I love this photo. I love this moment of like falling. I love this moment of like unsteadiness, right? It's also shot at like a fifth of a second. Thanks for telling me how it's pronounced. Thanks, Jim. I can always count on you. So this was shot at 1/5 of a second. And so there's a lot of like motion blur going on. There's some like fill light. There's some big umbrella light going on. And then that blue and the red and pink. There's just a lot of colors. So this is Binky's edits. I struggled with my own edits of this, partly because half of it is like this part is well exposed, but everything else is like kind of ghosted. And that's just the nature of how we were trying to do something weird. But I love this moment of like, what's the word? It's not the decisive moment, but it's similar in that something's happening. We just don't know what. It's not really a dance move. She's not standing up. She's not on the ground. It's kind of that in between. I really strive to shoot some of these in between moments. I've heard people describe them as un moments, UN, right? UN moments. And I really like that as a goal when I'm shooting portraits, is to get the un moments. Just something to think about, right? It's not the time they're looking at the camera. It's not necessarily the time they're on. It's those kind of candid, kind of not, kind of there, kind of not. I don't know. And so it's something I like to strive for. But I like the way this photo has the blue pulled in, and I love the brightness and vibrance of the reds and pinks. With my edit, I'm going to lean in to the feelings of uncertainty. And because this was shot somewhat with rule breaking settings, right? We don't generally shoot portraits at 1/5 of a second with the subject moving. It's just that's not the normal prescription. So with my edit, I'll show you here in a second. Just think though, I'm really trying to edit in a way that heightens those feelings of surreal, and really forcing the viewer to work a little bit. So I took this crop first of all and really pushed it. So this is right, cropped it in, and I gave her just the most smidgen of lines and space so that it almost feels like she's falling into the edge of the frame. And so again, this isn't something that you would normally do. You wouldn't normally crop a photo and leave all of this negative space here. You just generally wouldn't. Right, all the space to the left. You just generally wouldn't leave all that space. Un moments or fun moments. Oh my God, I'm stealing that. I am stealing that. Yeah, I'm stealing that. But I love this negative space. It feels like she came from there, and then she's hitting a barrier or something. I think this photo could also work rotated, right? We could also rotate it in different ways, and it would still work. Maybe like she's falling down could be interesting. I don't know. There's other ways you could go with it. I spent a lot of time dealing with the color here. So let me see if I can. So here's the before and after in terms of pulling out details. But I love this like pink, red, orange. So I brought the highlights all the way down, shadows all the way up, whites all the way down. I hazed it, negative dehaze, right? I dehazed it. So -10 dehaze, -10, 15 clarity, +10 texture. I want it to feel soft. I don't want this fabric to have a ton of texture. And then luminance, I brought up and down different colors. And then point color, each of these like fabric panels, this blue, this red, this pink, I did different things to them to kind of move them in the direction that I wanted. And then like this blue, I just kind of shifted that whole color there. So without the color mixer, it's there. Then after the color mixer, let's just darken the colors. And then we also, do we not? No, guess not. I thought we also did split toning, but no, we did not. But yeah, I'm still trying to get color mixer where, oh, I know what I did. Okay. So we talked about tone curves earlier, but now it's time to talk about color channel tone curves. And so in this case, there's a red, a green, and a blue tone curve outside of the normal tone curve. And this is how I used to color grade. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of show this as well. Essentially, this is highlights. I can push my highlights toward the blue or toward the red. Okay, can we see? Look at that red pop, right? So I can make my reds get, right? I can add data to my reds, or I can add blue to my highlights, right? So we can shift what, I kind of like it actually there. Yeah. But here, my shadows, right? This is my shadows. This would be my midtones. My shadows are getting less red, more cyan. And then my greens, I'm going more green, less magenta. And then shadows are getting more red, right? So we can kind of see as we push, we can change what the tonality response is along there. My blues, that's not a normal tone curve. So I wanted my midtones to go yellow, my shadows to go blue, my highlights to go blue. Again, midtones to go yellow. I'll leave that one up for a second. That's not normal. That's not normally how we would tone curve something. But what it's saying is add blue to my shadows, add yellow to my midtones, add blue to my highlights. That's just how you would read that. So it's just a different way to add color information that might not be normal. Again, this photo isn't normal. This photo didn't play by the rules to begin with. So we don't want to kind of paint by numbers with our edit either, right? So we're marrying, right? We're pairing the red meat with a Cabernet. We're pairing the fish with a white wine, right? It's pairing what we shot with how we edit, okay? But I love this moment. Thank you for challenging me with this one, Steve. Appreciate it. Ooh, Foxfire. This is from Jim Smith. Well, at our horses shoot we did last month. I had a lot of fun with this shoot. I got some really cool photos. I haven't seen everybody's galleries yet. Everybody should be sending me some galleries so I can pass it on to our participants. But I like the athleticism of Ryan right here. I think that's an interesting pose, kind of shooting over the back. I wish that sword wasn't catching so much of the light. That's catching a lot of the light, and it happens. It's fine. I think a square crop is good for the action here. I think that's a neat crop going on there. The only thing I don't like about this particular square crop is two things. One, the feet at the bottom got cut off. And then two, we can see our light. So if we look at the background, it's kind of this dark, dark, dark. And then this bright background for the grass, we can see the effects of our flash so much. And so I would correct that with a negative gradient to both minimize the grass, but then minimize the fact that we cut his toes off. Very much the Black Knight from Monty Python, right? It's merely a flesh wound. But yeah, I love his eyes. Like, that's really cool. There's the whites of his eyes, the fingers. Like, I think this is all really, really good. And the horse has perky ears, which my wife approved of. Horses without perky ears get deleted. The photos get deleted. So that's all very good. So let me kind of take this raw in a different direction, starting with a crop. So because the feet weren't to my liking to begin with, I just cropped it out. Right, so I just brought the crop up, and then I'm giving a little bit more room for that arrow to fly. And that's all I'm doing with this crop. It's just a little bit more room Oh, there's a fly right there. I didn't notice. That's funny. So I did not go crazy with color toning, just a little bit of an S curve here, just slight brightening. I did warm it up overall. These are all pretty standard, just boosted the shadows a little bit, a lot of vibrance, negative clarity. For the entire photo, I added clarity in some other areas, but as a global adjustment, -10 clarity. Probably the most important part here is the color grading. I added orange because Ryan kind of had that in a skin tone. And then I darkened the midtones, the shadows. I raised up the shadows to give it a little bit of that filmic look, right? The shadows don't come all the way to black. If you notice, they kind of end about 20 units from the end. And then I gave them a little bit of green in the highlights, and then brightened up the highlights. And then, of course, we did radials. We did lots and lots of radials here. So this one's for the sky. I cooled down the sky, but brightened it up. From the left, darkened and cooled. Oh, that's from the right. Darkened and cooled from the right. Warmed, right? Warmed and brightened from the left. And then this area is trying to control some of that brightness of the sword. I just killed the highlights by about 33. And then because this eye was framed by this section of the bow, I wanted to bring this eye up just a little bit so that we could see it. Because I think it is cool how it's formed by the triangle of this bow, right? So the arrow is the bottom of the triangle, top of the triangle, other side of the triangle. So I wanted to bring that up. I brought up about a full stop there so we can see that eye, because I think it's so cool that it's framed inside the bow. And then just a negative gradient all the way around the image, just a little bit, -0.2, -20 highlights. And then his face got a little hot, so I just toned down the brightness of his face just a little bit. So the other thing you could do, see how this has that purple fringing. If we go all the way down to lens correction, manual, eyedropper, we should be able to click, and then that purple fringing goes away. So if you're ever noticing that purple fringing on an image, you can use that eyedropper. It's under lens corrections manual, and kind of click that off there. So, but yeah, cool photo. I didn't get any of these, so I'm glad you got some, Jim. It's cool. The horse is very handsome. So Stelton, I think, was his name. It's cool. This is from Miguel. Very beautiful ballerina. Love the soft hands. I didn't do an edit on this one, but I love the soft hands. The only thing I would have liked to have seen, I kind of wish her face was turned, or actually just her eyes. The light is so soft from this way. I kind of wish the eyes were coming that way instead of that way. That's the only thing. But I really love the well-controlled shadows, kind of that chiaroscuro lighting. Maybe a little bit over-edited eyes there. They're a little much, but on the edge of being too much. I wish she was looking that way instead of this way, just to catch some more of that light. But I love this like hand-painted background feel. It's all very soft and well done. I don't have anything great to say about it other than it's really pretty. Yeah. This is fun photo. Totes absorbs, absolutely. We have kind of this bartender slow shutter speed. Kind of interesting moment again. She's not really looking at the camera, and she's moving fast enough where her face is sharp, but hands are motion. Right, this is a great type of lifestyle photo for. You're kind of showing somebody working, right? Those fast hands. Everything else is fairly sharp, except for what's moving. So that's fun. I feel like this photo is a little orange overall. The light is very tough to deal with. That overhead, like pin spots, kind of like corporate events, bars, right? They're usually very terrible. They're made to be low light so that your pupils are dilated so that you're showing more attraction. That's why bars are dim. So we all look a little better and we all look a little more attractive. So that's why they work. But I love that there's like a band going on, right? Everybody in the background is looking at the band playing and all that. So really, it was just about fixing a little bit of that over oranginess, and just changing that out. Nothing too crazy there. Just way less, way less orange. 50 units to blue, minus 20 units to green, just to even up. And then I think I did just a little bit of brightness on her face. So I think these are good. I've been shooting a lot of toll road photos, and I've been using these kind of slow shutter speeds to show cars in motion, but like the signage is sharp. So I think if you're trying to shoot lifestyle, don't just try to shoot things perfectly. Let some of that motion come in. So I think this is a good example of that. All right, this is from Jess. I really like the light on the subject. I think that's really well done. This is a tough place to shoot. South Congress Hotel, Austin Hotel, not South Congress Hotel, the Austin Hotel on South Congress. Sorry, tough place to shoot. These big signs like that. There's always people walking around. There's just always something going on. It's very difficult. My first instinct is to have the people come much closer, so that they're a little bit bigger in the frame. Also, the sign for the Awesome Hotel looks like something that the Top Gear guys would make fun of, if you catch that reference. But I love that it's like, if you moved them up, they probably wouldn't both be in focus, though. So I like that the signage is in focus and this couple. Look at her. Look at how fun this is. Like, super fun, right? Pink veil. That's just a really fun moment. I hope that doesn't say grinder. That doesn't say grinder, does it? That'd be unfortunate if it does. But really well done to kind of capture this like big scene. That'd be a really fun like lead off to a gallery type image. I like that the lighting is mostly not on the ground. It's there a little bit, right? There's a little bit of light on the ground here, but it's interesting that it starts here. I think she said that her assistant was like just off, like in the frame with a softbox, and so that was cloned out. So that's kind of a neat way to do it. Maybe it's like right there. I can't tell. But it feels like more like a softbox than it does feel like a hard light. So we have this nice soft light on the couple under and well controlled, this kind of blue hour. So this is a great example of what blue hour is, right? So we have blue in the sky, and then we have all these neons at the same brightness or similar brightness. So I think it's very well done. Yeah, the only thing I did, two things. I didn't change any of the like photo elements other than I just brightened them up so that they were more closely matched up to the brightness of the signage, just to bring that. And then where that flash was hitting the ground, just a tiny little linear gradient, just so that it doesn't look so bright on the ground. Because I want your eye going to them and the sign, not to their feet. And whatever that neon was back there, I tried to get rid of it. Didn't do a great job of it. And then over on this left side where the flash was also hitting, I just took it down a little bit exposure wise. So some to play with. But I want their faces to read a little bit more. So I just brightened up that area. That was kind of my main concern, is brightening up that area. So this could have been one for slow shutter speed as well. It was shot at 25th of a second. We had the city bus coming. Or no, that's just a building. Yeah, never mind. But if there's cars going through, it can be a nice time to add motion to the side of a photo at like a 10th of a second or something even lower, to really get like cars driving by if you can. But I think it's really well done to control the glow of all the signage. So, yeah. And that's mostly it for today. What'd y'all think? What was y'all's favorite? Anybody have any favorite images? Ooh, bam. Take that and that. We have any favorites for today? Anything that y'all loved? Anything that y'all didn't love? Yeah. I think Totes Adorbs is going to win some for sure. Ooh, my skin looks terrible. So yeah, next thing coming up. Oh, we have some other things coming up. We also have Expo Days at Precision coming up, like 9th and 10th, I think. 10th and 11th. Friday and Saturday. Next week, Friday, Saturday. We'll be doing light painting demos, I think one at each location. So one at South Park Meadows and one at the one on Anderson. but we'll be doing 2-hour light painting demos. You can bet there will be the light whip will probably be making an appearance, as well as some other fun light painting things. So come and join us that, and then we're going to be having open studio at Roanoke Studios in May 19th, the next Sunday after that, and then yeah, I think that's all the ones I've announced so far. Precision has a new education person, so we're still working with them on getting our summer and fall classes up. But otherwise, yeah, 8, 9, and 10, quite a variety. Yeah, there really was a lot of variety today. There really wasn't an overarching theme of. Sometimes it's weird how, I was really expecting like horses and eclipses would be the only thing we got, but kind of got a little bit of everything, so that was fun. Yeah, as always, y'all know how to get a hold of me. So if you have any questions about what we did, feel free to reach out. I'm always available. Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. Let's do it again sometime. Oh, I will tell you, think about this. Would y'all want to do an in-person, no video cameras, bring a print? Josh says mean things. Would that be fun? Something to think about. Something I've been throwing around in my head. I need to find a space where that would work, where we can throw a lot of prints on a table. But I thought it'd be fun if everybody brought a print of a photo and we kind of critique printed photos as a way to kind of challenge ourselves a little bit. So let me know what y'all think about that. We'll see if we can make that happen. But that's my next idea. So yeah, looks like everybody says yes to that. So well, cool. Well, guys, great time hanging out with y'all again. Tell your friends. Yeah, keep shooting. Let's have fun. And we'll see you in a month or so. All right, bye.